to Google for group chat. Because, again, this is Google's week. And let's talk about the big announcement at Google, which was the Pixel and the Pixel XL. Although I do want to throw it out there, which is kind of weird. I don't know that they specifically mentioned the Pixel XL in the original announcement.
It's just all Pixel.
We have a Pixel phone, and then just didn't bother to talk about it.
Maybe they just knew that both phones were heavily leaked, and we already
yeah, they were just
you guys, they should have just like left the stage. Like, you know what's up.
Just said, but fuck it, here's a phone.
What's interesting is that they're exactly the same, like hardware-wise, except for the screen and battery. That's it. Like the camera, everything, there's no compromise here. Which
is pretty good. So let's take one quick step back and for those who may have missed it, and if you did, what were you doing this week, guys?
Engadget.com.
Yeah, there's this little site, you may have heard of it. It's called Engadget. You should read it once in a while. Good times. So Google announced 2 new phones, the Pixel and the Pixel XL. They are built by HTC, but Google's very clear in making the point that these are not designed by HTC. This is not the same sort of relationship that they had with manufacturers in the Nexus program, like Motorola and LG, where those devices and Huawei, the 6P, carried a lot of the design DNA from Huawei, and the Nexus 6 carried a lot of the design DNA from the Moto X. I mean, it was basically a giant Moto X.
Yeah.
This is designed by Google. HTC's name does not show up on the device at all.
And in a nerdy way, it makes me wonder about the future of HTC, because they're struggling as a company. And this is the first time I've seen them just being outsourced a little to do the handle and the manufacturing at some point. Something like this could help HTC stay alive. That's interesting. But also, these phones seem like Google designed them while staring really hard at photos of the iPhone and HTC 10. It's like, this corners look nice, and this general shape. It looks very familiar.
It does look very familiar. So actually, why don't we start and we'll talk about that first, and we'll move on to some other things that are probably bigger picture questions. But I did see a lot of flack on Twitter, and even some of our own editors here were saying it looks a lot like an iPhone, and that is undeniably true.
Except for that blue. That blue is fantastic. I kind of love it.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah.
I love bold colors. So yeah.
I love bold colors. So here's my issue with the blue. Before we get back to the iPhone look-alike thing, the blue is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I loved the color, but it's just the backplate.
You can see a little bit.
If the whole phone was blue, I'd be 100% into it.
You'd buy a Smurf blue phone?
Absolutely.
That's just crazy talk. You got to have some
the white
color,
the white face, and then the blue back. Just the way it comes together wasn't doing it for me. I wasn't a fan.
Okay, so I just don't want a Smurf phone.
Yeah, I just.
Okay.
I like all of my things to be
I don't want a rose
like
gold or jet black phone either, though.
No, I'm not a fan of the rose gold. I'm with you on that. But I kind of like most of my things to look like they've been coated in ground-up fictional creatures.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Maybe we can agree on that red Daydream VR headset.
That was hot.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
That thing was amazing.
Yes, sure.
Again, just go visit Engadget and look at it, because we're not gonna. You're listening to a podcast, you can't see it. Just trust us. The Daydream View headset in crimson is hot. I want a couch made out of that.
Actually matches your outfit right now.
It does.
Too,
actually,
so,
it would match my tie and pocket
handkerchief.
You're just gonna keep calling it a handkerchief. Okay, but let's come back to the design of the Pixel and the Pixel XL real quick, because I hear what people are saying about this, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of confused about what people expect from the design of a phone at this point.
Sure.
Because that is, for the most part, a criticism that you can hurl at most phones that we like the design.
Even the iPhone 6. Yeah. I think the iPhone 6 looks kind of boring and vanilla. Honestly, I think HTC got there first with the original HTC One. Just like a really smooth case, very clean lines. Yeah, and then they just kind of honed that design down, and Apple clearly lifted that for the iPhone 6. They look so similar. So we've kind of reached this perfection point. I don't know what else we could do. I mean,
there are outliers. There's things like the Galaxy S7 Edge, which is unique looking, but I'd argue pointless.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Moto Z, I think, took things to
It's different for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is purely for the sake of being different, as far as I can tell.
So in terms of like reliable, I don't know, design that's generally crowd pleasing, this is it. Like we've gotten to boring rectangles, so I can't blame them too much for this.
So, I mean, the bigger question, though, is ultimately what does Google have to gain from basically taking over building the phones completely?
I mean, they won't have their partners have their phones catching fire. Like, they will. I think Google, it's funny because I remember when the Nexus program started too, and Google was talking about, like, oh, yeah, we just want to guide these partners to creating some nice aspirational Android hardware. And now it seems Google's seeing the point of like controlling everything. Because now Google has services it wants to control too. It has Assistant. It has a whole bunch of other things it wants to tie people into. So, yeah, it's just funny Google didn't do this when they had Motorola. Like, they own Motorola. And all we got was the Moto X, which sort of was customized, but wasn't nearly as, like, it didn't seem as refined as these. So these seem like the logical, like, evolution of the Moto X in a way, too.
Dana?
This sort of calls to mind Microsoft and the Surface Book a little bit. At this point, Google doesn't really need to sell people on Android. It's not a new operating system. Yep. It's not an underdog.
I mean, it is the most widely used smartphone OS in the
world.
Right.
What Google really needs is not to proliferate the OS even further, but convince people that Android phones aren't
trash fires.
Yeah, they're not. They're not all explosive. They're not all. There are a lot of cheap Android phones out there, so they're not all crappy. That there are some really high-end phones, and you could say HTC and Samsung already proved that. HTC's phones haven't been selling well, so that doesn't do much for Google's reputation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, really, what Google needs to do now is not proliferate the OS, but just convince people that there can be a product like this that is every bit as premium and carefully thought out as the iPhone.
So this is mostly about them kind of curating the experience to the point where they can convince the person who just walks into a T-Mobile and buys whatever the newest phone is.
Except only on Verizon.
It reminds me of the dance that Microsoft does, where sometimes Microsoft will go out of its way to promote devices from other companies that it thinks are great. But I think part of the motivation behind the Surface line, including the Surface Book, was to sort of take matters into its own hands and prevent the name of the OS from getting sullied by inferior hardware somewhere else.
Even though they had their own hardware issues, so I guess
yes, they did.
Backfired. But the Surface originally not so great, but I think it helped to push the proliferation of convertible laptops that we're seeing so much now.
So I mean, is this a turning point for Google then? Is this them now shifting their focus from building the software that's going to power everything that people use to now them wanting to be a serious player in the consumer hardware market?
I don't know how serious they're going to be because they're not actually building it either. And I think that's a good thing because the hardware Google has built, although I don't know if some of the other things were from other people. Yeah.
Well, let's be clear. They're not building it because HTC is manufacturing it, but almost all of the companies that make phones, they don't build their phones. Apple doesn't build their phones. And while I don't know this for sure, I'm pretty confident that Google doesn't build most of the hardware they make. I'm pretty sure they don't manufacture the Chromecast.
I'm worried about Google designed hardware, I guess, just because the Chromecast has been the only thing that's been truly successful because we've seen so much that's just failed or has been announced and never even released, like the stupid soccer ball thing.
The Nexus Q?
Yeah, that was a thing.
That was a thing, sort of.
But everything we're seeing around this looks good. The hardware looks good. I'm surprised the camera has already been well reviewed, even though that looks like a really small sensor compared to what we're seeing on the iPhone.
It's what, 12.3 megapixels?
It's 12.3 megapixels, and the lens is just tiny. It's so tiny. But apparently it takes great pictures according to some third-party.
What's the megapixel count on the iPhone 7? That's what we're up to, right?
16.
Do you know?
A little higher than 12, but
a little higher than 12. Thank you.
I mean, at that point, I don't really consider 12 megapixels like a low resolution.
No.
camera.
I mean, the thing is that a long time ago, we entered the realm of diminishing returns in terms of megapixels. Now it's more about, pixel and sensor size than anything else.
Sensor size, and iPhone's at 12 megapixels too. So, but sensor size matters more.
I think we're all excited to test out the camera, especially because Google's really not been known for its photography.
Yes.
Until
that has always been a weak point in the Nexus devices for the most part.
And something Samsung actually got right. And I think for a while the S7 were better cameras than what the iPhones had until the iPhone 7. So I've been so bored with phones lately. I didn't want to upgrade to the iPhone 7 because I like my headphone jack, and I like how Google included a little dig in their ad for this.
Yeah,
it has a headphone jack, and
pretty great. I love the pause and cough. In there.
So I'll probably end up getting one of these, although I don't want to move to Verizon for it. So we'll see.
I am already on Verizon, so I will. Yeah, I'm gonna buy.
And you need a new phone.
I do need a new phone. I've been carrying around a Moto X review unit for the last 6 months or so.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, I already pre-ordered one. I considered momentarily canceling my pre-order, mostly because I don't know if what our corporate overlords are doing to the Pixel.
This is true.
So this is one of the outstanding questions that hasn't been addressed, which is, has Google managed to negotiate an Apple-like deal with Verizon where when updates are available, they go to the Pixel phones, end of story, no fighting? Or are they stuck with another Galaxy Nexus type situation where Verizon is going to hold up the updates for their phone for months on end for no good reason?
I say this every podcast when Verizon comes up, but no one tells us anything.
No.
We don't know.
We have reached out to the company we work for answers regarding this and have received nothing in return.
I mean, I wonder...
we could literally walk upstairs to the people in charge of this, probably.
That's true. Or the ugly Verizon building in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about Google's negotiation skills. I'm surprised this thing is only available on one carrier. Like, that was key to the iPhone's success. And I'm like, if they really want this thing to succeed, they should have done that.
We were surprised about that with the Moto Z as well.
Yeah. Carrier exclusives don't succeed. That's why the Samsung line has taken off too.
Yeah, I mean, they are selling an unlocked version of it that will work with every American carrier.
For the nerds, yeah.
But yeah, the fact that you, at least for the time being, you can only buy it through Verizon if you're going to go through your carrier is sort of an odd thing and probably a little bit problematic. I doubt that exclusive is going to last for very long,
I hope
though.
So. Yeah, I hope not.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy the unlocked version.
I mean, I think I just will, just to have it.
This is why I was considering canceling my pre-order, is I purchased it through Verizon, and now I'm wondering if that was a poor choice and I should go back and buy the unlocked model. But, you know, it's hard.
I think we should do a special edition podcast one time just about all of your, I don't do this, all of your impulsive gadget purchases.
Oh, yeah.
You guys, Velasco has a bunch under his belt.
Velasco,
not me so much.
He's a strange creature. So
I honestly don't make that many impulsive gadget purchases, and if I do, they tend to be like me dipping my toes in the water on something and like purchasing used stuff on eBay. So like I went and bought like a new MIDI keyboard with MPC pads built in because it's like I don't have MPC. I've never had an MPC.
That sounds geeky.
I want a drum machine, and so I went and dropped like $100 on eBay as opposed to like going out and buying a brand new one.
Are you going to make us a new theme song, Terrence?
Maybe I will.
All right.
I've spent the last 2 weeks trying to figure out how the damn thing works.
Yeah, that sounds like a good segment, though. I think when I do it, it's more like, oh, this is a good deal. This is something I've been looking at for like a year. And then I bought the Dell Ultra Wide, like 34-inch PC monitor a couple weeks ago. And my life has never been the same. It's so good.
See, I think we are getting off topic.
Yeah.
For me, impulse gadget purchases need to be in that sub-$100 range.
No.
So like I've impulse purchased. We said this last week. Multiple Chromecasts and ended up with more Chromecasts than I had TVs at some point.
Oh man. Well, we'll see if the Pixel phones will be impulse purchases. They almost are for me. Like I'm tempted.
It wasn't an impulse purchase because I was specifically waiting for it. It's like I'm waiting for whatever the new Nexus is, and then it became that it's not a Nexus, it's a Pixel. Yeah. I was ready for an upgrade. It's like it's time for a new phone.
Only downside is no waterproofing, no like water resistance, and that's a shame, especially right now. And I kind of want to buy one for me and my wife. And my wife left like her Nexus 5X out in the rain one day.
So she doesn't take good care of her phones.
I'm not going to badmouth Huawei. She normally does. It was just left out.
Just in case she's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Some sort of water resistance would have been nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that, honestly. They didn't make any mention of it during the presentation, which probably should have been thrown up alarms. But then I did see confirmation on Twitter later that it is not water resistant, and that is very surprising and potentially problematic.
I also don't know if HTC has brought waterproofing to its premium phones yet. So that's the other thing. Maybe they just can't do that well.
I don't know about that, if I'm honest.
I'm trying to look it up, and I'm not seeing much of not seeing much of a reference to that.
So we're almost out of time, and we kind of got distracted, I think, from the bigger points at some point. Repeating myself now. But Dana, I did kind of want to get your take on Google's history with hardware, and whether or not you're kind of concerned about the Pixel in general as a product.
What do you mean?
So, I mean, we were discussing it before, and then we kind of got distracted, which is that, Google does have this very checkered past with hardware that it makes itself or designs itself. The Chromecast is the obvious exception to where they've succeeded and really
it's cheap,
knock the ball out of the park. But that's because it's a cheap piece of plastic that costs $35, and you hang it from the back of your TV, and you don't worry about it.
And it relies on what Google does best, which is systems and hardware, the way their streaming service. That's what Google does.
As opposed to something like the Pixel C and as much as we love them, arguably the Pixel Books, which are these kind of failures for the most part in terms of consumer products. And let's not even go near the Nexus Q, which never even
Well,
launched.
I think at that end of the spectrum, Google's biggest failures have been its most experimental products. This is not an experimental product. It's a phone. It's a mobile device. Google has been involved in some form in making mobile devices for a long time, obviously often with the help of partners, but it released its first tablets years ago. So it's no stranger to mobile devices that run Android. So I don't think Google was going into this quite as blind or blind at all. And I think Google is playing to win here, and win if not in sales, because honestly, I don't think this will be a big source of revenue anyway, just given how much money Google makes from search and all its other stuff. But win in terms of getting good reviews and getting the respect it wants, and being able to say, hey, this is a really great showcase for Android, because I think that's really what it's about.
I mean, well, let's not forget Nest either. And I feel like that whole thing, Dropcam, has been a disaster under Google. And I don't know how much that's related to their other hardware initiatives, but none of this gives me hope,
So what do you... I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent here, but what do you think the chances are that at some point Nest and Dropcam and all that stuff is just going to get folded into the same division that's doing the Google Home stuff? I mean, and it honestly, it even kind of seems like what they did with what Google did with Motorola was buy it, take the pieces they wanted, that they really wanted. Like, they weren't really interested in the core phone business. They wanted that, like, experimental, designy, the people who were going to be building the next generation of phones, not the current one, pulled them out and then sent Motorola packing. When, here, Lenovo, you take this shell of a company that nobody wants.
Right.
What's the chances that they're going to end up doing that, basically, with Nest and Dropcam, even if they don't sell off the names, that they just kind of go, well, you're not brands anymore. Now you're just part of Google, whatever.
I mean, that would make sense. Like, Nest has been a disaster. They've taken so long to, like, release follow-up cameras. They only just now announced an outdoor camera. And, I don't know what's going on with their smoke alarm. But, all this stuff will have to connect together in some way. So I don't think Nest as a separate division will last for too long.
Yeah. So this is potentially the beginning of Google as a serious hardware maker. We'll see. At least I have already ordered my Pixel XL.
It's funny you brought up tablets, though, Dana, because I see a lot of people complaining, like, where are the next Nexus tablets or a good Google tablet? I think they're trying to push the Pixel C as one. It's a powerful tablet, but it's heavy and it's not great as a standalone tablet. Yeah.
And the keyboard is a disaster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, if I'm honest, I kind of just think tablets are, as a category of device, are on the decline.
Oh, yeah.
And Google just doesn't see much need to invest in that in a serious way.
So Samsung is, I think, one of the few Android makers still releasing new tablets, and their things are the best right now.
Yeah, I think LG does too still, but I could be wrong about that.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, ever since the Nexus 7, as far as I'm concerned, there hasn't been a solid Google tablet or an Android tablet, really. And I'm seeing less and less people with tablets in general. The iPad sales have started to at least, sort of plateau, if not drop, over the last year or so. So I mean, they're probably just like, it's not worth investing our time in that sort of thing.
Which is kind of heartening. I've always liked computers or notebooks or even convertibles versus like standalone laptops trying to replace personal computers. Yeah.
Devindra, any last thoughts before we sign off?
I want to look at that blue phone. I want to lick it. It's so blue.
Dana?
I'm sorry I insulted your handkerchief.
But you're not sorry you insulted my face.
Oh, I guess.
You should just reach over and blow your nose in it, and then it becomes a handkerchief. So there you go.
Where can the fine people find you on the internet, Dana?
I am on Twitter at Dana Wollman, my full name with no space. Be nice.
Okay. Devindra, your turn to plug your other show.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Devindra, and I review movies and TV shows at /film.com.
I am at Terrence O'Brien, lots of E's, no A's. As I've warned previously, if you're coming to me expecting tweets about technology, you'll be sorely disappointed. It's mostly about me crying over the Mets and politics.
How about those Mets, Terrence?
Yeah, that's... I'm going to unleash a torrent of rage on our San Francisco coworkers later just to vent. It's nothing personal, guys. I don't actually hate you. I'm just a little bitter is all.
I don't know sports, but I did see the Mets news this morning. I was like, I can finally say, how about those Mets?
And you knew that I was going to be in a bad mood because of it. As always, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Subscribe in iTunes or whatever your podcast app of choice is. Rate us on there and hit us up on Twitter at Engadget or send us emails at podcast@engadget.com. Send us your questions, comments, complaints. We want to make this show good for you. And if you don't send us feedback, we can't cater it to what you want. But before we go, I want to leave you with the comment of the week, which comes from Tenarius. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, thank you. Finally. OMG, it's about time. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Finally. Oh my God, it's about time. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, thank you. Finally. OMG, it's about time. Yes.